Okay.
Give me a crazy person, I'll reject him.
Donald Trump.
See, that's your problem. He's not crazy.
Jessica Tarlov and Greg Gutfeld square off in an intense live television battle as they address one of the most contentious topics of the day. Fly Jessica fervently defends her position. But do her arguments hold up on Jess Gutfeld doesn't mince words, don't miss this argument that will never be forgotten. For more must-watch moments, press the like button and subscribe if you enjoy heated debates and surprising tones. Are you ready now? Let's get started, Tim.
Tampon Tim. Yes, I would like to talk about it.
Good.
You know what? If you knew anything about the pink tax or how difficult it is for women when they have their period and they don't have access to tampons.
It's not about
pads,
women. They can get
about
as many tampons as they want.
That's not
Give them
hear
free
this.
tampons. It's the boys.
I want to hear this.
The point of having menstrual products available in a boys' bathroom is for 4th to 12th graders, I think, that if there is someone who identifies, if there is a biological female who identifies as a male and uses that, your laughing will be the undoing of yourself.
You're encouraging empathy, which we all admire, go into an irrational world.
You don't admire it. I need to say something
No
about the
one
National
is
Guard.
using the boys' bathroom that's menstruating, Jessica.
I would like to pull back and talk about something that would help the Democrat Party if they only listen. I'm going to pretend that I'm not talking to Jessica, but I'm talking to the whole Democratic Party. So liberals, in their very best sense, are the party of empathy and compassion. Their problem is they extend that benefit to people who prey upon innocent citizens. That is their problem. They don't know the boundaries to their compassion or their empathy, and that's why they need conservatives to say, hey, knock it off, pull back. But why do liberals have to accept certain positions that are that bad? Like, why do they have to make excuses for rioters and looters? That is not necessarily a liberal position. They don't have to do it. So if you think of other liberal positions, arguing for surgical transitions for children, banning school choice, funding foreign wars, bailing out phalanx. What if these aren't liberal positions? They're just awful ones. Then you could reject them. You don't have to sit here and defend tampons for boys. You could just say, you know what, there's nothing liberal about that.
Placing tampon in guys' restrooms is a contentious position that Jessica Tarlov advocated, supporting biological females who identify as male, and promoting inclusivity were important to her. Greg Gutfeld, meanwhile, wasn't persuaded. He challenged the reasoning behind such policies with his incisive humor. Tampon on the issue, Gutfeld contended it concerns the extent to which we are prepared to put up with absurdity. This was a contentious discussion about the thin line separating pragmatism and empathy, not just another argument.
Reject them. You don't have to sit here and defend tampons for boys. You could just say, you know what, there's nothing liberal about that, right? Only nut jobs want kids to have nut jobs. It's not about being liberal or conservative. But the problem is the Democrats have allowed radicals to define what is liberal. So tampons for boys, suddenly, Jessica, you have to defend it. You shouldn't have to. You know, liberals were always against conversion therapy. That was a psychological attempt at curing homosexuality. Now they're defending invasive surgical solutions to do the same thing. How did that become liberal and the other one not? So it's a plea that, like, you don't have to defend this crap. You don't have to defend tampons for boys. You should laugh at it and go, this is bullshit. I don't believe any of it. And then all of a sudden you find that the Democrats and the Republicans are in the same room again. We reject our crazies. It's time for you guys to reject them.
Okay.
Give me a crazy person, I'll reject him.
Donald Trump.
See, that's your problem. He's not crazy. That's your problem.
That is exactly the problem.
There's nothing that he believes in that comes close to tampons for boys or for pushing trans surgeries on children because they're suffering from a psychological delusion. There's nothing like that in the conservative movement. But the Democrats have embraced these things because they're so scared of being called lack of...
Gutfeld expanded the discussion beyond tampon, criticizing the Democratic Party for failing to impose restrictions on illogical policies while acknowledging that liberals take pleasure in their empathy. He contended that their compassion occasionally extends to those who exploit it. He cited divisive positions such as protecting rears, endorsing tampons in males' restrooms, and promoting gender changes for children. Jessica protested that these weren't just leftist viewpoints. However, Gutfeld retorted, that the Democratic agenda is being shaped by extreme voices, he drew attention to what he perceived as hypocrisy supporting tampons in boys' laboratories, but dismissing workable alternatives like school choice. Additionally, he criticized a change in liberal beliefs which had formerly opposed conversion therapy but now supported life-altering procedures for kids with identity problems. He posed the question, how did one turn liberal while the other didn't? One of the most enlightening parts of the conversation was from Jessica's obvious frustration, as she found it difficult to respond to his scathing criticisms.
Okay.
Give me a crazy person, I'll reject him.
Donald Trump.
See, that's your problem. He's not crazy. That's your...
Gutfeld called the Democrats to reject that party's most radical elements, as Republicans have done brought the argument to a head. Jessica's first reaction, she identified Donald Trump as the extremist leader of the Gulf. Gutfeld, however, didn't believe it. That is your issue, he retorted. Trump isn't the one promoting child surgeries or tampons in boys' restrooms to avoid being labeled callous eater at dosy extreme viewpoints. When Jessica's argument began to falter under Gut's inspection, the audience couldn't help but notice, however, this debate was more about the ideological gap in contemporary politics than it was about tampons or transgender concerns. Gutfeld emphasized the Democratic Party's greatest FLW, which he believed to be its unwillingness to reject extreme viewpoints, and distinguished between foolish policies and true compassion. His message was unmistakable: decisions must be made rationally, particularly when they involve policies that impact children and vulnerable populations. Additionally, he cautioned that Democrats run the risk of losing the confidence of regular Americans if they allow extreme voices to continue to dominate the discourse. What is a boundary between irrationality and empathy then? And in a world where extremes are dividing people more and more, is there still room for middle ground? As the issue continues to generate discussion both online and offline, these are the questions that still need to be answered. Not only was Guts' heat to take down entertaining, but it also served as a lesson in exposing weak defenses and faulty policies. Guts' views were memorable, even though Jessica's arguments might have struck a chord with some people. What are your thoughts? Did Gutfeld correctly point out irrationality? Do you support Jessica's position? Leave a comment below with your ideas. And before you leave, remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more daring arguments in need of analysis and musty moments.